pass away, I can't do nothing with them.
Well, your health's pretty darn good.
It's fairly good. You know, I turned 60 this summer, and like everyone, you get a few issues. I always like to refer to the great Katharine Hepburn and her quote. She said, Katharine Hepburn said, "Growing old is not for the faint of heart."
No, so true. Tupelo, Mississippi. Hey, Joseph, go ahead. You're on with us.
Oh, yes. I really enjoy your show there, George.
Thank you, Joseph.
Jesse, I just had a question for you there.
Sure.
I really enjoyed you as a wrestler and as an actor, and, you know, I mean, you just had a great career, and I'd really like to see you run for president. And my question is for you, you know, Nikola Tesla years ago, he had invented an oscillating resonator. Do you think that HARP may have more to do with an earthquake machine than as a weather control?
I don't know. You know,
off the air, you know.
I don't know. You know, I went up and saw HARP, or I tried to see it, and I did see it from a helicopter in the show where we looked at it. I didn't even know this thing existed. When we started doing the show, they said, "Governor, you going to Alaska?" I said, "For what?" They said, "To see this thing HARP." I didn't even know about it. But I did meet Dr. Nick Baggage, who wrote the book, Angels Don't Play This HARP.
Good guy.
And all I can say is this. He looked me right in the eye and he said, "Governor, this is the death ray, if there is one." And, you know, this thing, obviously they lie because they called it an unclassified research center. Well, if it's unclassified, then I certainly ought to be able to come in. But they wouldn't let me in. And so clearly it is classified, and they're lying about it. And there's a lot of mystery up there. We traveled around. We couldn't get any of the locals to talk to us until we finally found a guy and a woman that said, "Sure, we'll talk to you." And he told me he was there. He does the snow plowing there. He said, "If you want to get in, I can take you in the back way on an ATV." And I said, "Well, it's too late now. It's too late in the day, and we're on a schedule." But I'm not sure. You know what? I'm not a scientist, and I don't know to what level this thing can accomplish what they say it can. But according to Dr. Baggage, it's dangerous as hell, and that's all I can tell you.
You know, Jesse, people just don't want to believe that government is screwing them up. They just don't want to believe it.
They want to believe the government is their parents,
their savior.
Yeah, then that they're their parents, and the government is looking out for your best interests. Well, I got news for you. Government is made up of people, and people can be corrupted, and evil people can get in power. If you don't believe it, go talk to the Germans.
Jesse, our science advisor, Richard Hoagland, back from Amsterdam, where he gave a speech. He, of course, has got incredible theories. He was the one who broke the story about monuments on Mars and a number of other issues. He's got a question for you on 9/11. Go ahead, Richard.
Sure.
Richard, go ahead.
Morgan the other night. Fascinating. My question is this. Have you looked at the work of Dr. Judy Wood, who is a materials expert, PhD in structural engineering? She has a website, drjudywood.com, and a 500-page book called Where Do the Towers Go?, which is the most brilliant, penetrating analysis of what really happened on 9/11. And if you look through that site or read the book, I guarantee you what you suspect now, you will be totally convinced, and you will come away with a very different perspective on how it was done and who might have done it.
So I assume that she's not backing up the government story?
Not at all.
Okay.
180 degrees. You know, it's a complete lie from top to bottom. The physics of how those buildings fell and how they didn't fall is everything, and she's got 500 pages of analysis. It's all on the web, drjudywood.com. When you look at that, you will know, finally, we are not in Kansas anymore.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I will, when I get down to Mexico, I will have my wife bring it up on the computer because I'm incapable of doing that. I've never owned a cell phone, and I'm computer illiterate, and why? Because I never learned how to type.
I'm a two-finger typist myself.
Also, the other reason, my wife rarely swears, and I'll be in the other room sometime, and I'll hear a string of profanities. I'll come running in, and I'll say, "What's the matter?" She'll go, "This damn computer." And I thought, if it can make her that angry, imagine what it'll do to me.
That's great. Jesse, what has been the highlight of your career? What is the thing that you admire the most about what you've been able to accomplish?
Well, I guess I would have to go back and tell you it was graduating Class 58 from basic underwater demolition SEAL team. School,
that's
going through what they call BUDS training, basic underwater demolition SEAL, because I was 18 years old at the time, and then I turned 19 in training, and that really made me what I am today. That was the defining moment of who Jesse Ventura would be, and I always, no matter what happens in life, when I start feeling a little sorry for myself or the going gets rough or whatever it might be, I always think back to that and I think, man, this is nothing compared to what you went through. And so truly I would tell you that was the defining moment, I think, in my life.
That's fantastic. Do people call you Governor, or do they just call you Jesse when they run into you?
They love to call me Jesse, and I don't mind that. But others fine. I'll tell you what's interesting. When you're in New York City in Manhattan, the people there always call me Governor. Those New Yorkers, they give you your title.
They give you the respect. Jesse, stay with us. We'll take this quick break. We're going to come back with final phone calls with you, with the governor, Jesse Ventura, former governor of Minnesota. We'll be back. Well, next hour, Alex Jones joins us as we get his perspective on world events. When we come back, we'll take final phone calls with Jesse Ventura, author of 63 documents the government doesn't want you to read. We'll take your final calls in just a moment on Coast to Coast AM. And here we are back on Coast to Coast with Jesse Ventura. We'll take your final calls. Jesse, I want to tell you, you've been an absolute delight. You're welcome back anytime you want.
Well, thank you, George. I appreciate that, and I'd love to come back. And by the way, will you do me a favor? Tell Alex Jones, give him my best, and tell him hello.
I will do that for you. He'll be with us in about 25 minutes, and he thinks the world of you.
Yeah, well, I like Alex, too, because he always buys me the best cigars. You can ask him that. Ask him if he's got any more of them stogies he buys Jesse.
You got it. I call him the Bulldog. Let's go to Zeus in St. Petersburg, Florida. Zeus, you're up with us. Go ahead.
Oh, gentlemen, it's an honor. Jesse Ventura, the day I found out that you were a man of Czechoslovakian heritage, I was very proud.
Well, wait a minute now. I used to call myself a Czech until my 88-year-old aunt. Somebody asked me, what nationality are you? And I said, Czech. She spun around in the chair. She said, you're not Czech, you're Slovak.
That's what my mother tells me, too. I love it.
And so at that point I said, I'm Slovak, because, of course, as we know, they are two separate countries, and they were merely put together by the Soviets. So they're back separate again, the Czech Republic and Slovakia, but I am Slovak.
Slovak guys are few and far between, and you made me very proud when I found that out. My question is to you, legalization of marijuana. Will it happen? Will it not happen? Yes, no, benefits, downfalls, why not?
Well, I've been out here in California now, and I was so disappointed when they didn't vote to legalize it completely. They lost 55 to 45. But I was told by a lot of the people out here that the bill wasn't written correctly and this and that, and that it's going to come up again, and if it's done right. Because I said, are you people crazy? With the deficit that you're facing, why would you not get a new revenue source which could help balance your budget? And so hopefully it'll happen. And if it does happen, I think the first place it'll happen will be California. And I think when it does pass in California, you'll see it go like wildfire across the country. Whatever state passes it, to make it totally legal, and they see how much money that state will be bringing in, then I think you'll see it go like wildfire amongst the people, because they realize then that if they get a marijuana tax, they might not have to raise their property taxes or their income taxes or all these other taxes, because, of course, a marijuana tax would be subjected to you have to buy marijuana in which to pay the tax.
Jesse, Cheryl Jones, former CNN anchor, one of the few mainstream news people who understands, who gets it. Hey, she's in Knoxville, Tennessee. Must be seeing your mother, Cheryl. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good. Good to talk with you again. Go ahead. You're on with Jesse Ventura.
Hello, Governor.
Hi, Cheryl. How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm a big fan of the conspiracy theory, and I want to know, and of course, Coast as well. Governor, if the show on the FEMA camps and the police state was the basis for the show being censored, what does that say about the future of our country and the direction that we're going in? What's really happening?
Well, it's not. It's certainly, Cheryl. It's not a good sign because that's censorship. Whatever happened to the First Amendment here? People can look at the show and they can determine on their own if they want to believe it or not to believe it. But, excuse me, to have the government come in and put, whatever pressure or whatever they did to the upper echelon to get them to do that, I think it's extremely dangerous because, it's up to the public to believe it. It's up to the public to decide if they want to believe something or not. It should not be up to our government to determine what we choose to watch and look at and all that. And it comes down to the big picture. They're destroying our Constitution, and they're taking away our Bill of Rights. And if we allow them to do that, then what does the country of the United States of America stand for anymore? And it's that simple, but it's that big also.
Exactly. Well, why not do a show on this type of censorship and the future of broadcasting in our country, both in radio, television, and print media, and the web, relating to this subject? This is a very important subject. If this is true, people need to know about it.
Oh, it's
and
true.
Can this dark trend be reversed? How can enough information get out, and what are you going to do to help see that happens?
Well, it is true what they did to my show. On that one particular show, I was amazed. They didn't bother the 9/11 shows. They didn't bother the JFK shows. But clearly this must have hit some type of nerve for them to do it to this one particular show.
Stepped on some toes on that one, Jesse.
Yeah, and so I can only, and what does it mean? It means they don't want us to know about these internment camps, obviously, because they've got in mind that obviously some of us are going to get put in them. For whatever reason, I don't know. Why else would they build them? What would be the purpose? They're not going to build something that they're not going to use. It's that simple. And what does it mean for all of us? Well, again, let's shine the light on it, ask questions, and never be afraid. I believe it was Thomas Jefferson said dissension's the greatest form of patriotism.
Cheryl, thanks for your call. What's your latest with your lawsuit against TSA, Jesse?
Well, it's in a status right now where naturally they have made a motion to dismiss, which we expected. It'll probably get in front of a judge. I'm guessing that's why I filed at the end of January while I was in Mexico,